Hi guys, so we're back. Okay, so sadly, or not sadly, I'm at South by Southwest. I wish I could be there with you, but we have to keep going forwards. Again, reminder that we have to do you're going to turn in your environmental projects on Thursday's class, and we're going to pitch the idea for the final project, which you're going to commit to. You can see how much work it is doing one of these environments, so that could easily be something like this for a final project. Or you could do a continuation of what you're doing. I would do something that you're excited about. That would be the biggie. So let's take a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing environmental modeling for today's class, and I'm going to go over some of the challenges we might face when we're kind of working on an overall environment. So let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. My is open. One thing I'm seeing right now, if we're looking at this, I see that the grid is on. The grid is on, and this can get kind of heavy. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it actually can slow down your workflow. It can the computer can start to chug. So I'm going to turn the grid off. So I can go to display grid, just turn it off like that. All right, so this is Lincoln Center. I've straightened it out. You guys have all seen that, and we're thinking that the majority of the action is going to take place sort of in this area right here. So I want to increase the resolution of this. Jay's been doing an amazing job knocking these buildings out. I'm going to start doing the environment. I've been working on it a little bit. So I'll build up the environment. We'll do some of that right now. So I've taken a closer look, and let's take a look for a second. I'm bringing up Google Maps. You can see here I am in Austin. It's time to go back to the civilized world. I might not be there physically, but I'm there virtually. Here we are. All right, so we're back at back in New York. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna turn on the satellite image so I can see what's going on. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn 3D off. I want to see a 2D image, and then I'm gonna go labels off. Right now I can see more clearly. I'm looking here. This is Lincoln Center. And this is kind of like the moment I want to take a pause for a second, and I want to actually like study the environment and decide what I'm going to do. What are the most important features I want to kind of start to develop? So what I can do is I can look around in a top-down view. One thing we're noticing is you can see the satellite images are updating. If we look at my image, no red carpet. So the problem is it's going to be very difficult for me. It'd be quite difficult to start grabbing textures from here and switching them in with this set of textures. It's going to be like a big problem. So I kind of have to either redo the whole thing, or I need to stay with what I've got. I feel pretty good about what I've got. I'm looking at the map, and what I want to do is, I'm not at Lincoln Center. I keep talking about how you have to go on site if you're doing this stuff. Second best is going to be using the street view. So I'm looking at it here. I get a bunch of stuff, and what I can see, I remember somewhat, is that they have steps. There's a bunch of steps. The steps are going up. They're shallow, low steps from the street going into the main space. So this would be probably, in terms of topography, one of the most clear features, is what I would call it, on this space. So I want to develop these steps right here. I get in close and I can see, yes, there are steps. When I go over to my actual model, let me get in close, the resolution on my picture is not there. You get vague steps. You can see across here. This is super sketchy and hard to figure out. It becomes really unclear over here, and you get like a hint of something here. So this is the problem, the first thing I'm facing. I have reference, I know they're there, but it's really difficult to tell exactly where they are. So what do? I can't increase the resolution of my actual terrain map. So I need to go back to the original. So I can come over here like this. I'm in here, and then what I'm going to do is let's bring up Photoshop. And then what I can do is I come into this image, and what I have to decide would be, Photoshop is fighting. LOL. I give up. Photoshop just wants to take control. Let's make a new one. Alright, so what I'm going to do is this. If I look at this picture right here, we can see much more clearly the steps. So I'm going across here. The problem is the shadows, nothing else matches up with the other image, so it'd be very difficult to weave these two images together, this and the terrain map that I've got in Maya. Alright, so what can I do? So I come back over here, and let's first just take a quick look. I take the street view. I can drag the street view anywhere I want, you can see, from different vantage points. And it works best probably on the street. But let's start here and take a look. So I throw it down on the street. And let's turn around. You can see that this does not match the satellite image. And yes, there most certainly are steps here. You've got a little handrail, a covered walkway. This looks like fun to make. And you've got this nice little stop sign. I could almost just use this right here for the texture map. I like it. And you've got these cool lights in the walkway, which look pretty awesome at nighttime if you've ever seen it. So this is cool. I'm going to switch back to the satellite image. Am I right? Yeah, here. So I go back to the satellite image. Let's take a look around a little bit more. I grab my little man and I drag him and I plop him there. Let's take a look. Cool. Yeah, this is quite big right here, this fountain. I thought it was a little bit smaller, but it's quite big. So I take a look here. You can see the photo's been somewhat stitched together, like right here. I'm just taking a peek. Looks good. I go back to the satellite. I take my little man. Let's take another look. I just like to move around the plaza a little bit. Let's take one right here. You can see these don't exactly match up with where they say they're supposed to be. I don't see any steps. It looks like it's a flat surface going in. I just want to study everything. You can see the stitching here. Stitching. Let's go back. Let's grab the guy. Maybe go to the far side and just kind of like to look at it from as many different vantage points as possible. Look at the lights. These are kind of overexposed. That's what it looks like. Okay, so this is sort of it. Okay, I go back to my satellite image. I again turn off the labels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a new image of this right here. I'm going to get a new shot of this, and I'm going to use it as a reference in the actual terrain map that I'm starting to develop. So what would I do? I go like this. Zoom back just a little bit. And I have to think about what I want. Like, I could cut like this here, because you can see these pretty clearly. They don't match up with the steps, though. You can see this falls halfway, so these won't be accurate. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to do a print screen. So turn off this little image. Function, print screen. Take it over to Photoshop. Here, Control V. There it is. And there's a whole bunch of different ways we can go after this. I need the guides to do this. You have to be working with guides in this. So I'm going to go View. You need to have the rulers turned on. So View, Rulers. The rulers will bring up these little measurement guides on the edges. I can now just click in the ruler, drag down, and I've got a guide. And just throw one in here. I'm going to go Control T, which is free transform. Make sure you have the appropriate layer selected. So it would be Window, Layers, right here. So I need to have the active layer. It's not going to work if the background's selected. So I need to go, and you see the background is locked. I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to go Control T, or you can go Edit Transform. When I go Control T, you see we get these little handles in the corners. I move to the outside. I rotate, and I just want to square it up. This, that, cool. Let's put one out here. And I'm going kind of quick right now. I would probably put just a little more time and straighten this thing up. But that looks pretty close. I'm gonna go in closer. If you guys are really doing this again, I'm going kind of quick. I want to get real close. Just check. Not bad. Not bad at all. That's actually pretty good. This like works right now. I got really lucky. Just keep in mind it might take more time than this. I just, it went pretty quickly. If it does take more time than it, actually I would highly recommend you guys just go through the motions and do it. So now what I can do is I can go shift click. Here I've got the selection tool armed. I do a shift click from the top and drag across. I'm not going to make it. I want to get the whole thing. I've got a selection. What I can do is I can just tap it over. So I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard. Like that, and I just want to get it around the whole thing. So I've done it. You can see here's my selection, and it goes up the top. It's square, and I just want to get on the outside of this and the outside of this catwalk, or the the little walkway. I'm gonna go image, crop, and let's bring it back. And I'm gonna save this out. So I go File, Save Scene As. And we can make it a JPEG. Cool. Steps. See, I've already done it, so I've gone through the motions. I go to trree, and I go save. Total's a little high, but it's okay. This is only a reference, and it won't go into the master file, so we should really be conscious of those file sizes, especially for real-time stuff, while we're pulling out these textures. 512 by 512, 1024 by 1024, 256 by 256. Minimize. Let's bring up Maya. So I come back into Maya. Here we are. And now what I would do is, the scene is actually getting kind of complicated. This is the backup layer. Right click, add selected objects. Cool. Alright, so we're back. I come in. You can see I've sort of already done it. But let's take a look at how we were able to do it. Left click. I'm going to go into perspective view. There. Okay, so basically what I would do, if this is what I was going to do here, to develop these steps, would be I would use this split polygon tool. So what I did was, you can see as I'm going around the environment, it's in a grid, and I'm starting to break the grid up. What I would do is I would basically trace out this footprint of the steps, essentially, so I get the top-down view like this. Then I would go to just keep in mind that the steps aren't here yet, so I can go right click edge W. This is what you're looking at right now. This is what you would have to deal with. So very unclear where these are. The problem is to get them straight across, and this is not working with the world anymore. It's going to be kind of hard. It's close to the world, but it's a little bit off. Just different structures in here are not all like at 90-degree angles. It goes slightly off. So we got this set up. So basically, split, or the multi-cut tool over here. So multi-cut, and I'm just tracing around this footprint. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to face. I'm going to select this one, shift click this one, shift click this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate faces. So I can go to edit mesh, and it's just duplicate. That'll do it. So I go duplicate. You can see, right click object, I do sweeping selection. This is white, this is green, that means two things are selected. I go to this one here, I do sweeping selection across both. I do a control click back. So now all I'm left with is the faces that I've just created, this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to re-UV map this. I'm going to take the texture that we got from the last image and put it onto this this face. So here we go. I'm going to open up the hypershade. The hypershade does not seem to want to open, and you can see I don't have any windows folded. So what do? I go from to this top corner, modeling standard, and this is the stupidest workaround to Maya Classic. Close out the UV editor and open up the hypershade, and there it is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through the process of setting these back up again, or applying the texture I just did. I've already got it, so here it is. This is what it looks like, and I edited some of it out, but it should be okay. Super annoying. There's this face. I just select this face that I want. Right click on this one. This is the step texture that I just made from the Google Maps. Assign to material selection. And am I right? Control Z. It's working. It actually is on here, but it's hidden behind this overall environmental terrain map. So I can go like this, spacebar, perspective. I'm in a perspective W, and I could just pull this up just a little bit like that, just so it's above the other face right here. All right, so then I'm going to go to UV, planar map, and it's pretty freaking close. That's actually, it was already sort of set up. So this works quite well. It's actually almost like perfect. It's pretty close. That's the corner of the building. That's the corner of the building. These are the little sidewalks. It should be about like this. I would take a bit of time, just make sure it's 100% like accurate. So this is good. Now what I would do is, I've got this guide set up. I open up my layers here, and I'm going to use this to actually create the geometry behind it. I'm going to go, I want the layers, I don't want this. So I open up the channels layers, which looks like they're already open. Maya's fighting back. Open up the channels layers, and I take this one and let's throw it on a layer. This object, it was in component mode. Assign the layer, and I can turn it on and off. It looks pretty close. Alright, so from here I would take just take a bit of time to make sure that this is lined up correctly in the UV texture editor is what I would say. So just really make sure this lines up. I've got this set up. I'm gonna go, we've got this on a layer. I'm gonna lock it up, and then I'm not gonna lock it up right now. I'm gonna go into a top view, right click, top view, and like this is like a little bit of work to kind of get this all done. Multi-cut, and at this point now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna multi-cut my way across here. Like that, right there. And I'm gonna repeat this process, cutting all the way up. And I want to just land on top of each different step, just accurately across. So I go left click, or right click, closes the tool. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but what I can do is I should be able to show you there. So this is the finished result. This is it, and right click object, sweeping selection. It's locked. Let's try it again. There we are. You can see that I've cut across each step. This looks great. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it up like this. So I put it in T mode. It's transparent and I can see the guides. What I don't want to be able to do is actually select it. So I can't actually select. I can select the layer behind it, but I can't select this guide. Now what I'll do is I will select the layer behind it, which I have, which is this master terrain. And it looks like the master terrain is not on the master terrain layer. Right click object, right click add selected. Uh-oh, it looks like we've got a few master layers possibly. So we'll take this one and put it on another layer. There. I should name this. And I make them all green because I think of the earth. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so I've got that set up. I'm going to turn the master layer back on. And now what I'm going to do is, with this on, I would make a duplicate of this before I start. It's not necessary to make a duplicate. This should be okay. So now what I'll do is, with this layer on, I use the multi-cut, and I'm just going to, I'm actually currently selecting, it is the layer I want, but the thing is that the verts are still here from when I deleted it. So let's go, I'll show you. If I go right click vertex, you can now see these verts are not part of the steps. They're right here. So I'll just clean these out. This. Delete, 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 delete. Alright, I turn the guide back on again, like this. There it is, and now I multi-cut across, so I can move freely here. I'd line it up to the best of my ability. Let me go delete. I'm trying to V-snap, but it's not going to do it. I want to snap onto the guy. It's not going to. So I'm going to have to eyeball it. You got to get in close. You could snap them out later, but you got to really be careful of these UVs. I come across and I do the first one, like this. And I'm just going to repeat this process all the way down until I get all the steps across. So this is how I would develop the steps with minimal reference. I have the reference here is no good. I have to actually rely on higher resolution reference to make this work. So this is the workaround to kind of get this geometry in place. Basically what it means is you have to be creative at certain points. I'm not going to save this. I'm going to open the scene again. We're going to keep going. So I'll go open scene. Mark. Downloads. Don't save. Okay, so we're back. Let's take a look again. So other things that I've done, I've really begun to cut this thing up. So I know for a fact that these are, let's take a look, come back over here. Is there anywhere I can see this? Nope. So one of you needs to go over here and take a picture and geolocate it right about here. You'd save me a lot of trouble. See if I can. This is totally messed up. Like that's just completely. I do not have a clear view of that shot. Like this picture is just bad. Alright, so this isn't going to be able to do what I need. Let's go back here. I'll try coming from this side. There we are. Difficult to see. I'm just trying to see what these, they look like planters of some sort. This would be what I would want reference images. We got some nice trees here, which are cool. These are good. let's go around to the front of the building. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab my little man, drop him. I want to see what these trees look like right here and here. So let's go. Ooh. These like actually look okay. So what I'm doing right now is I'm thinking about how am I going to make these trees. These are kind of some of the larger objects in the scene in terms of mass in the overall space. It's kind of wintry out right now, so odds are leaves are off these trees, but it definitely makes a cooler scene with leaves on the trees versus leaves off. It just usually would look better unless you're trying to create some sort of atmosphere. You would definitely set the mood feels wintry or something. So I go here, I got the top down view of the trees here. So what I would think is, let's go for it. Let's take a look at the map in my model and then we come back. So I'm over here. You can see I've started to cut the model up. I'm dividing these up. I'm pretty sure I've seen it from a different angle that these is a little concrete sort of barrier around it, and it's got a planter in the center, which are cool. So I've traced all these out. Middle mouse click. This looks good. I've traced these trees out. So I'm looking at these trees right now, and my original plan had been to use these. But after having looked at this, like the resolution on this is pretty nice right here. This is a perfect shot. The resolution's way up compared to the other shot. So this is good. So let's do it. I just pulled back a little bit. Something like that. You can see it gets a little kind of out of focus. Looks like the sweet spot is here and it kind of comes out. I think it's okay. I'm gonna go function print screen. And let's take it into Photoshop. We can kill this one off. Don't save. Go new. Create. Control V. Looks good. Okay, so things you want to think about. Again, this class is real-time like VR, content creation for VR. And what I want to do is I want to just it's all about optimization. It's all about optimizing your files. I just need the trees. I don't need anything around it. Like this is all extra file size. This is all extra file size. So let's cut this thing back. I'll go like this. I'm gonna get right to the edge, and I sort of missed. I saw it. I'm gonna go a little wide on this side, and then I'm gonna tap it over with the keyboard. I just want to make sure that I get this in shot. I would just highly recommend to everybody. It's not worth it cutting off a little piece because it always comes back to haunt you, or it certainly does me. So I do this. Looks good. I'm gonna go image, crop, cool. And then what I'm gonna do is there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. I'm just gonna trace it. I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste it on its own layer. I think that's the fastest way. I'm using the polygonal lasso tool from the toolbar. So let's go like this. And the more stuff I can kind of get out of this picture, the more stuff we can remove, the smaller the file will be. I just want these trees, and I want it to be basically a white background behind them, and that will bring the file size down a bit. I think I'm going to do this Lincoln Center sign separately. It's not going to be part of this map. I'm going to let it go a little bit low. I just would rather have more than less. A little bit less. There. I might have cut something off there, but I think it's okay. I could definitely, if I had more time, spend a lot of time cutting this back. And I just hit enter. I do Control C or Apple C, Apple V or Control V. Paste it. If we look at the layers, I go to Window, Layers. There they are. Window, Layers. There it is. Turned off. That's exactly what I want right there. So this will be a much smaller file than this will be. So that's what I want. That looks good. I need to make this square. If you guys are doing, again, real time for 3D or real time for VR, this needs to be square, or it needs to be like powers of 2. So I could do 512 by 1024 to get the actual across size. Let's see how big it is. So I'll go to Image. Canvas size is currently 24 inches. Let's turn it to pixels. I could go, like, again, I always say to kind of keep the resolution up. We could go, I'll go 1024 by 512. I think that would be what I'm hoping for. What I would always say is you want to keep this as big as possible for as long as possible. So I'll go like this. Take the. It shouldn't increase the size too much. I'm just thinking for a second. I'm gonna do cancel. So I'm gonna resize this. We'll go image. I don't need the canvas size. I need the image size. Let's make it 1024. I'll go OK there. And now I can go canvas size, image, canvas size, and then I'll go to pixels. Let's make this 512. Yep, works. Okay, so I'll go File, Save Scene As, and we're gonna go JPEG. Will be fine. Let's just go save it on the desktop. 12. You could probably bring this down to like 10. You can see drastic by a third. We've just shaved this down by more than a third by bringing it down to. I'm gonna go OK, and then let's minimize this. I don't really need that anymore. Back to Maya. Here we are, and I'm gonna go. Let's open up the Hyper Shade. Tell me it's already open. This is beyond annoying. It opens when I switch modes. I come in here, I create a new Lambert. I click on the little color swatch, go to the file, and let's find that texture I just made on the desktop. There it is. I should definitely have a more descriptive name. Rename. Go open. There it is. So now what do I do? I'm going to go into here, create polygon primitives, and I will make a plane, which should generate at the origin, W on the keyboard. Grab that plane. I'm going to go F, channels, layers, and I'm going to go into the inputs. So I want to go with this selected. I go here. I'm just going to bring this down. That's what I want. Let's back it up. I'm going to go R on the keyboard. Let's scale this guy up. Something about like that looks good. W. I want it to kind of fit the footprint of the trees. I go. Please open. Something's just wrong. Okay, something's just wrong. Okay, I go into here. Which one was it? Those are the steps. This means that this is it. Yes, awesome. There's our tree. Go E on the keyboard. I'm going to rotate it up like this. Beyond annoying. So let's get this looking good. I'm going to go F to frame, W, just pull it up a little bit like this, something like that. And we're done. We got trees. Alright, so depending on what you're doing, we're not done, we're just getting started. Depending on what you're doing, if you're going for super low res and it's mobile, this could work as a cutout. This could be just a PNG. Just do a good job cutting it out, and this could work for the trees. For what Jay and I are doing, our resolution's way up, as you can see from Jay's models. So I have to kind of follow suit and bring these up. So I'm basically going to trace out the trees. Let's go. LOL. Total miss. Yep, at this point, probably a front view. F. It'll be easier to work in a front view. So let's go. I start from the edge and I work my way in. And you can generate trees or whatnot. But the thing is, like, these, what I'm doing right now are the actual trees. Like, there's no question about that. I'm going to leave the trunk off for now. We can add that back in a sec. I'm going to do sort of broad strokes here, and I'm going to just kind of get it roughed out. This looks like shrubbery possibly underneath the trees. I'd want to actually study them. So I'm going to go up here. Let's stay with something that looks hard to tell. It's good to close it and then just hit enter. In some of the older versions of mice, sometimes you do a complex selection like this and you just like lose everything. So it's always good to kind of create an anchor on the other side and then continue on. Snapping a little too easily here. So I could just push it up. I know that looks crazy, but I'm going to come back and fix it. The little leaves, you can't keep them all. You might have to let some of them go. I'm going to let those ones go. I can come back for them in a little bit if I want, or we'll see. So again, this takes like a little bit of work. I'm chopping those ones off. we're working our way across. I'm starting to generalize. Just chop that one off because that's going to be a pain. This looks good. It doesn't look that great. It looks okay. Hopefully I'm going to come back and do some cleanup. But I want to get the general sort of form out. Just get through it. And ideally, I'd like multiple angles on these trees. I like that better. Okay, I'm going to go enter. It works. The scary part is if you hit enter and you lose your selection, which stinks. So now I come back and I look at everything that's been done. I just kind of look at all the edges, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just going back through multiple sets of hotkeys. I'm going to go here. Ew, that looks kind of messy too. I'm just kind of refining it. I want to knock this white space out. That's what I'm really hoping to do. I'll let that one go. Here. Delete. Delete. Enter. I'm looking. That looks okay. I said I would come back and fix this. Now I do. That looks okay. Enter. Or I can right click. Like that better. This is not the prettiest selection I've ever made. The snap on the multi-cut is literally starting to drive me nuts. And I'm going to have to go to Google to figure out how to turn it off because I've tried other ways and it's not working. But I'll show you that later. That definitely has to go. They're doing construction in the hotel. That's what all this noise is. So it's been a ton of fun living in a construction zone. Okay, so I can come out here. I'm going to go back here. And, going past it, it's okay because I'm just going to dump it later. Like that one right there. Like this needs mega refinement. Enter. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. I keep doing the Photoshop hotkeys. There. Right click. Probably cut this back a little bit. Cool. I can do further refinement in a sec. So now what I would do is we've got this sort of worked out. It's not perfect, but it's okay. I think it'll actually make a nice tree. What I would say is I make a copy of it so that I don't throw it out. So I go Control D. I put this over here. Donk, donk. Let's call it tree. The left side of the left trees. So I'll give it a different green. Like that. Looks good. And then right click Object. Let's put this one on a layer. It did not duplicate it. So I go like this. I had a suspicion. Control D, better be duplicated. I go right click, remove selected objects because the two objects are on the same layer. This, and I turn it off, and I go right click, add selected objects. There. You can see this one's on this layer, this one's on this layer. So I'm going to use this one right here for this tree. Okay, now I do have to trace out the kind of the trunks of the tree. So I go here. I'll go delete. I'm getting close. Something like this. Something like that. Something like that. I imagine the trunk ends around there. I'm going to just go enter. I can keep refining this stuff as I go. Enter. Let's get the rest of them. Awesome. I want them to all be about at the same level because they're going to be all at the ground plane. So they should, even though they look like they're a little different, they really are. And we do it again. Darn you. Awesome. And this is just getting better and better as I keep going because I'm refining. Delete. That did not work because I had hoped. Looks good. Looks good. Almost there. Enter. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna go File, Save Scene As. I don't want to go too much further. Fudge. That is crazy annoying. The snap on this thing is really making me insane. There are words I want to say right now, but I can't in the video. What I should really do if I'm having this much trouble, so it's actually good you're watching it sort of fight. If I'm having this much trouble setting this up, I want to anchor it. So I'm just going to cross like this and go enter. Now I keep going. And now it's easier, or better, easier than that. I can't get it here, so I go up to here, enter. Let's get this one. This one's like just an overall mass. Delete. Come on. Go enter. Enter just to close it. And then something like that. It never ends. This is what happens when you start making trees. I'm just again generalizing. I'm going to take the bigger form. I see it as I'm treating it sort of like a mass. I'm going to go enter, enter. Looks good. Okay. I don't see any tree trunks over here. There's cleanup I can do in here. This is sort of sucking. Alright, so I gotta make the call. What do I do here? It's just like tough. That looks to me to be like a trunk. Again, I treat it like a mass. At this point, this is becoming slightly problematic right here. Because we got all this stuff. I'm not gonna do it like that. I'm going with it. Boom. Okay. After the second level of refinement, now I would actually duplicate it and put it on that layer. So I'll turn this one off. I'll turn this one on. I will selection tool, select it, delete, Control Z, total fail, right click object, delete. Turn this one on, select this. I'm gonna go Control D. I'm gonna go right click, remove selected objects. Go to this layer and then go add selected objects, and then I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, so now we're on this one right there. Good. I got this right click, face. Boom. Alright, this is the moment of decision because you're not. We can still go back, but it's easier to fix it now than it would be the other way. So I go delete. I go delete. I'm gonna go spacebar left click front view. 1, shift 2. looks good. So I'm just going around doing a little bit of cleanup. Probably dump that one because it doesn't work with the other stuff. Control Z. Control Z. I never stop multi-cutting. Delete. Outside. Delete. This is the cleanup. And we can start rounding out some of these jagged edges too in a little bit. This probably needs work. Alright, I'm gonna go with this for now. These will be my trees. Okay, from here, now what do we do? So I kind of pause for a second, I look at it and I think about it. What I'm really thinking about is the form, the mass, the three-dimensionality of this object, and where is it sort of kind of hitting the extremes. So the one would be the width. Where is the extreme on the width? I look at it, and what I do a lot of times is use the shadows. It feels like the flow of the tree goes like this. It's kind of like an S curve. This is the low point and underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the multi-cut, and I'm going to start cutting right into this to start to block out the general mass. As I've always said with anything that you guys are doing, low res is better in the beginning, add detail later. You could say that that didn't happen here, but we can't go back once we start deleting the faces, so we want to get kind of close. Alright, so here we go, multi-cut tool. And I'm going to go in, like, this is kind of a, I don't know what to call it, you're sort of interpreting this yourself. This is my guess as to what it would look like, and I think I'm pretty close. We'll see. I think that's it. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. Spacebar, left click, perspective view. I've got something that looks like this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, we could add another kind of loop. So we're basically forming the lattice that we're going to kind of build on top of. So I'm going to kind of parallel the line which is underneath this right now. Feels like it sinks back in there, and then cool out to the corner. I think that looks okay. And I'm going to go here. Enter. Alright, so now, what are we going to do? I was going to pull and push this into place. I can create some sort of kind of back and forth here. So we have delete. Oh, right click. Delete. Right click. I'm just looking for the logical connections. Enter. Make it like that. Something like that. I feel okay with it. We'll take this one out to the edge. Enter. So I end up with something like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, right click, vertex. This is the fun part. We could almost just go right click, fade. Let's go face. 1, 2, 3. I'll grab these ones. Pull around into a little bit of a side view. W on the keyboard. Oh, voila! You have trees. Kinda. So let's just start to give them a little mass here. Alright, right click, vertex, and then start working the other edges. W on the keyboard. Like that. And we got to kind of pull and push it around. The UVs get a little stretched. From this angle, it's looking pretty good. All right. And we're going to say that I think this probably, I have to pick one or the other. Either the bottom or the top is going to be the dominant one. It should not remain as a flat plane. I mean, I got to take the bottom row or the top row, and I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to take the top row here. I'm looking for just asymmetry, then push it back a little bit like that. And it might be nice with this tree. It really feels like it kind of flares. Get some irregularity going on. Ideally, I would be using some other form of reference. Cool. And just keep pulling them out. And I want to give it like sort of, the idea would be basically a kind of push and pull on both sides. It's starting to look okay. Look at that, not too bad. So let's take it all the way. So now what we can do is I go right click, object. I'm going to go DV. I want to move the pivot and I want to get it on the center line, the flat plane it started from. I'm going to go edit, duplicate special. You guys already see where I'm going with this. And let's go across the z-axis. So z needs to be negative. Did not work. And instance parent, everything looks good. And I don't want 6 copies. I want 1 copy. Apply. LOL. Total fail. Control Z. Cancel. Let's go delete. Let's try it one more time. Here we go. So we've got this. The big problem is this. It's good that you're seeing it. We need to freeze the transformations and look at all this construction history. So I'm going to go 1. Let's freeze transformations. You can see it happen. Boom. 2. Kill off the history. Awesome. Cool. This is what I want. Let's try it one more time. There we go. So we can see by freezing transformations and doing the history, the tree comes out better. So what I would do is I would kind of keep working out the mass of the tree, and then I'd come back and do it's mirroring, so it's symmetrical. Nobody's going to know from one side to the other. But what do I want to do? I would get it built up. Once it's sort of, I get a little bit more of a form to the tree, I would develop it a little bit more. I would turn off the symmetry and then make them irregular. So now let's go like this, spacebar left click. Let's go into a top view. Here we are. And there our trees are from below. I'm going to go right click, vert. I don't want to, if I want to keep the symmetry or the mirroring, I don't want to select this object. I want to select it as a Control Z. Right click, object. Let me go like this, take them both. Control, 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 Control. I'm just going to slide it across here like this. Yep. Okay, so now we can work on this in split view. So I'm using the profile from the top to kind of translate this across. So I'm going to go space bar, and I'm going to go into panel, and I'm going to go into a okay. So I'm going to work it like this: right click, vertex, and I need something in here. Like this. Okay, so I've got it here. And we can see that we really need some more mass in this area. So I'm going to take this whole section right here. Look at that. Control click the outer edge. And then come over here. So you try to kind of pull it around. I don't want to go like this. I just want to go in and out pretty much. Control Z. And then we can go after some of these right here. Like seriously, come on. I'm just using the multiple views. So with those out to there, let's control click this. We need something in here to give it just that kind of mass. I'm keeping it low in the beginning. At this point, I could almost, I no longer need this symmetry because I'm working from the top view. I can kill this side. I can go like this, Control D, and just -1 and Z. I no longer want the mirroring. There. So I can work on them independently of each other. Right click vertex. Take something from here that looks good. I start to kind of pull this way. Let's grab a few here. These come out to here. Something like that. And I'm trying to stay again like true to the form. Right click vertex. Now we should be getting some nice irregular sort of forms. And you know, it's not going to be super pretty in the beginning. Like you're going to have to, it does need cleanup. So you see lots of stretching here. It means I need to get in here. I got something underneath it selected, so be careful. Control click. And I can ease the stretching by kind of pulling this out. What is this? Might be a little too much, but it is a little too much. The only way I'm going to make this work here is I have to actually start cutting out to the edge. So I'm not going to do them all, but I'll do like one of them. Which one's a real problem? It's either this one or this one. I look at which one's the biggest problem. I like this here. I'm just I'm trying to make quads everywhere I go. Alright, so here we are. I get into here, right click, vertex, W. And it will look, it's a little crazy right now, but it will look pretty good by the time you really take it all the way. It should look great. And then we go over here, multi-cut. So first I'll do one to break it out to the edge. Enter, and then let's take one down the middle. Right click vertex, W. You can see how this is starting to come together. I just have to keep working it out to these corners. So grab the next one, multi-cut. You gotta think about how it's gonna all work. I could go up like this. I'm not ultra concerned about getting it all in quads right now. I'm just worried about pulling out the form. I can come back and restructure the edge flow later. Vertex, W. And what I can do is I want to try to relieve some of the stretching, so as I start to kind of even it out, you can see it starts to come in a little bit better. Some of the corners might get a little bit crazy. I can ease some of the stretching there again. And I want to have sort of organic shapes. But yeah, this is kind of it. This would be, I like the undercut underneath. I want to have that kind of undercut-like form. But this is pretty close to what the trees should be like in scale on site. It needs more work. I have to kind of keep working it out. But you can see how I'm pulling and pushing the form into place. And this is like, you're never going to be able to generate trees that'll get anywhere as close to matching these. You might, but it's going to be a little bit of work. These are the trees that are actually there. So I think this is good. So I want to see you guys keep working on the environments. Keep going. Good luck. See you soon.